Okay. So
This past weekend, besides rain
yes,
and flooding
We had
and
some-
indoor basement pools,
yes,
we had some basketball season tipped off.
we basketball season.
What happened to your voice, dog?
What? You know, I just laughed, man, because we were man. It got coarse from laughing at George because he fucking lost it. Basketball season. Are we talking about basketball?
MMA
season?
news and basketball. That's what it says.
Yeah, that's what that shit says. MMA.
It says.
Says.
Yeah, I'm trying to speak
Says.
your language.
That's six. And
No, says, motherfucker, not says.
says.
No, says.
Says.
That's what he says.
That's what he says. No, I
Yeah.
thought you said says like six.
Nah, man.
Oh, okay.
MMA news and basketball.
Anyway, let's start out with the fucking MMA, the big MMA news this past week.
Seemed like there's a new kid on the block. World
Yes.
Series of Fighting. It's
Ray
run by
Sefo.
Ray Sefo.
Yeah.
And it's backed by NBC.
Yeah.
So it's got pretty much a stand-up guy who's been around the block in all sorts and forms of combat.
Yeah.
And it's got NBC money.
Oh, yeah. And their
And-
inaugural event took place Saturday at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino in Las Vegas.
Did you watch it? Or how much of it did you watch?
I didn't get to watch it live because there were so many exciting
College football
games going on. And to be honest with you, I mean, I'm sure there's some people out here that are actually watching the show probably didn't know about it.
Right.
Because
Kevin
it wasn't.
called me and told me about
I
it.
said, shit, George, do you know about this World Series of Fighting? I just happened to be flipping through the channels and I saw it on NBC, their sports network. And
And I taped that shit and watched it on fast forward.
yeah, and I watched it, and I liked the production of it.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was kind of like you said with M1 and Affliction.
Yeah,
and
but say,
Strike-
what did it remind? Did it remind you of anything?
It kind of reminded me of M1 and Affliction when it first started, you know, and it was good, and they had some. I mean, all these guys are talented, but they had some names in there to, you know, and they've got every class. They've got maybe they don't have a lot of depth in each class right now,
Right.
but they've got at least one decent name in each class.
Yes, they do.
And I liked it. It was exciting.
It'll be interesting, and some of the when I was watching it and thinking about it, the one thing that they are doing that the other failed guys, the thing that they're doing that the other failed guys didn't do was they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. And What
No.
I mean by that is they didn't go out and get Fedor.
Right.
They're not building this company around a fighter. They're just building a fight company.
Right.
Which I think could, in the long run, maybe. I mean, they're not going to be competitive for the UFC for years to come. Let's just face it. But what they need to do is build a feeder system. They've signed on to do 8 to 10 events, and trust me, that's all based on ratings. There'll probably be a minimum of 8, and if they get to 8 and NBC goes, not bad, we'll do 9 and 10.
And to be honest with you, I think it was very smart to approach NBC's network, or maybe NBC approach them, because it's like, okay, that network it doesn't have. I mean, the NBC Sports Network obviously. I mean, I
Doesn't
think
have much original programming.
it doesn't. Like, I mean, I think they are like, okay, we're going to do what channel ABC and Disney has done with ESPN, and they just are not right now. I mean, who knows what will happen in a few years? But to get a sport that is trying to work its way to the mainstream, like MMA, and do this, could be good. It could be good for the network. So they might have a good thing going on. And I mean, it was entertaining.
They have one person I would consider a diamond in the rough, and what I mean is I would say a big name guy for in combat sports, not necessarily in MMA yet.
Right.
He has potential to be a big name in MMA, but right now,
Right.
and it's Tyrone Spong.
Yeah, and I agree with George. I mean, he ended up having his MMA debut here at the World Series of Fighting, the first event they had, and a lot of people
even
have wanted
fucking
to see
broke.
this guy fight and see what he could do once he got into the MMA world, and he definitely didn't disappoint his first fight. I mean,
No,
he went
but-
out there and did what most people expected against a.
The guy
Against your
he
mom.
fought against only was $4,000.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, from what I watched, I wouldn't get in there for $4,000 and let that motherfucker kick me upside the head like he did.
No.
Now, with that said, for you people who don't know Tyrone Spong, he's a very accomplished. He doesn't have a lot to prove left in the kickboxing world or even Muay Thai world. He's considered one of the top, probably 3 Muay Thai guys
Yeah.
at whatever weight he feels like fighting at. I would imagine.
And he and when George says that we're not, he literally has fought, I think, as low as welter and as heavy as
And
heavy.
I looked at Kevin in this fight. His first MMA fight was at 205, and he might cut his teeth at 205, but his
Right.
money will be at 185.
Yeah.
He can if he makes 185, and I personally think he can make it. He's training with the Black Zillions. Rashad was cornering him. The only thing, and look, I was impressed with his striking, but no shit. The guy
Right.
has over 100 fights. He's only 28. He's fought Melvin Manhoff to a decision win. He fought Alistair Overeem when he was 25 at the time.
He was Spong was 25 years old, and he was probably giving up close to 50 pounds on.
Yeah, easily, because Overroyd was fucking
He was jacked in the fight. And you know what? He lost.
Right, but the first round, Spong won the first round. He hit Overeem with a gut shot, and I was telling Kevin beforehand, I think the way you beat Overeem, hit him in the stomach.
Yeah.
Just go right to his body. He did not like that. And those were with big-ass boxing gloves. So I'm thinking if JDS slides one of those things in there.
JDS is going to not. JDS is, I just think he's so solid. But anyway, getting back to this.
But I think Spong, his money's going to be made at 185. What'd you think of his fight?
I mean, this guy, Travis Bartlett, he fought was obviously just
fodder,
a body to go in there, and he knocked him out at 3:15 of the first round. But like you said, he's a striker. He went and did what he was supposed to. He's impressive. George, you made a comment. You said earlier that if he had taken him down and showed some type of ground game, that would have probably even been more impressive because you would have said, okay, this guy's a little more versatile. We haven't seen any of that with Spong, so
and we understand
don't know.
It's his first fight.
You know it's his first fight.
And like I don't know if you kind of understood that because I'm sure some of you are just heard us discredit him, and we're not discrediting him. His striking, phenomenal.
Right.
I'm gonna say it's even possibly on the level, or if not, pure striking of up there with Anderson. It's a different type of striking.
Yeah, it's a different type of striking.
Precision with his feet and hands, and he's not a counterpuncher like Anderson.
If you guys
he's a pure attacker.
Yeah, if you guys have kept up with K1 and all that kickboxing and stuff in that world, Melvin Manhoff, I mean, he is known for his striking. He's obviously struggled sometimes in MMA because he's predominantly a striker, but this guy's on par with him and a little bigger. Moving on. This guy, Marlon Moraes, fought Miguel Torres,
who was a shell of his former self.
I mean,
I don't know who abducted Miguel Torres and has put this guy in place, but I don't know. Put it this way: if Miguel Torres was an actor or a rock and roll person, his next place would be rehab.
He would. I mean,
he's at bottom.
It's funny because. And a lot of the analysts said, and people who wrote, you know, I saw it, I believe, on MMA Fighter, maybe Bloody Elbow, they were like, this Moraes, who was obviously the underdog, but was expected to win. That's how they were saying it. He's the underdog, the no-name person. He
dominated that first round versus Torres. He floored Torres.
He did, and he got the split decision. And I mean, at this point in time, Miguel Torres is fighting for an organization that no one really knows about because they just had their first event. You know,
and this is not the way to start your run.
And it's not to start it. Now, the next fight,
Anthony Twinkie Johnson. I think he dropped a Twinkie in the ring. Looking at him fight at 205, I have no idea how he ever made 170 once.
I need a damn booger rag, man. But anyway,
how did he make 170 ever?
I don't know because he is so big and swollen up right now.
His head looks like a 50-gallon drum.
Oh yeah. Did you see that fight?
Yes, I watched them all.
It was funny because I guess it was pretty even. Nothing was really happening in the fight, and I think Johnson got poked or thought he got poked.
Oh no, he did. You could see it.
He got poked, and he went like this, like ref, like the motherfucker just poked me in the eye, and the ref was like, whatever.
And it was Herbals. It was Herb Dean. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he was like, whatever. I don't see it. And once he said that, the guy he was fighting
walked right into a right.
DJ Linderman basically said, "I'm coming forward," and he walked right into a fucking nasty right, and he just went.
Face down, arms at the side, just like done.
Snoring.
And then the main liner on this one was Andrei Arlovski, who fought Devin Cole. And this is the first time I think Andrei Arlovski is starting to put on a little bit of weight. He looked a little bit softer than he normally does. Now, look, just fucking relax.
Yeah.
Go look at old fucking fighting clips of Andrei Arlovski.
Yeah, it's like a Greek guy was carved up. Yeah,
and
he's definitely softer.
Yeah, he's softer. Anyway, World Series of Fighting, it's something, look, if you have the NBC network, check it out. Yeah. It's free 99. It's decent fighting. I mean,
you know what?
It's not on a tape
I'm
delay.
excited because if it can give us what the Strikeforce gave us when we saw Scott Smith dropping when Jimmy and I were going crazy about the fucking Denny's backyard fights, I'm all for it. So
now here's some other quick MMA news from the in the wake of UFC 153. Stephan Bonnar tested positive for testosterone, or let me rephrase that, steroids. I haven't read what. Right. It's his second offense, and then he retired.
Right.
Dave Herman got busted for pot. There's an interview run on, I want to say, either MMA Weekly or Cage Potato.
You know what's crazy, man?
That's hilarious.
I mean, I know Stephan Bonnar is not the biggest, but you look at a guy fighting 205, and Stephan Bonnar is a big 205. I mean, he is big, you know? I mean, Forrest Griffin, big 205. These guys are like 240 walking around, and they're juiced up and fucking jacked up. And look
Couldn't even come close to Anderson Silva.
Anderson Silva's just destroying him. Now, I'm going to tell you what.
Now, here's the thing. We're assuming that Anderson's not on anything. And that's the assumption I want to live with. That's one of those things that ranks up there with me with, like, I don't ever want to know that King Griffey Jr. took drugs. I don't want to know that Cal Ripken took drugs. Like, that just, if it turns out that Anderson Silva's been using TRT this whole time, I will cry.
I think Anderson Silva at 37, 38 years old, if you saw that, you would see a much different physique. Anderson has the soft physique, and he's all technique.
It doesn't need to be disclosed.
Yeah.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Now, I will say this. I want everybody out there to answer this question. If John Jones was to fight Forrest Griffin, or
I think he beat Stephan Bonner.
I
think John Jones beat Stephan Bonner. Beat the shit out of Stephan Bonner.
He didn't beat the shit out of Stephan Bonner.
Did he go the distance? Did he go 3?
I think he might have gone the distance, actually.
Right,
I think that. Now, if he was to fight Forrest Griffin, I'd like to see what do you guys think? I mean, obviously, most people are going to say, yeah, John Jones would beat him. But let me tell you something. When Forrest Griffin's on this game, he has had some major upsets in his MMA career. I just cannot see John Jones dismantling Forrest Griffin the way that Anderson Silva did.
You're right. It went to unanimous decision versus John Jones.
Unanimous decision. He beat Bonner.
In 2009.
And you saw what Silva did to Bonner, and you saw what Silva did to Forrest Griffin. That's just sometimes, and I know everybody's going to say style makes fight, but that tells you what you're doing with Anderson Silva.
They got some comparable opponents.
Yep. So, anyway, you were going on about the MMA news because there was some other shit going on.
Well, no, I mean, they did an interview, and they were just interviewing fighters, and they were trying to compare. They're like, so, Dave Herman tested positive for marijuana, and Stephan Bonner tested positive for steroids. What's worse? Dude, every fighter, hands down, when it came to it, every fighter in the interview sat there and said it's worse with the steroids.
Yeah.
Everyone. They said it's worse. It's a fledgling. It's a sport. We're trying to make a name for ourselves, blah, blah, blah. And then when they came to marijuana, they're like, yeah, you can get a medal. Like, fucking.
Yes, marijuana is not a PED. I mean, that's the bomb. It's a drug.
Don't
you know what I'm saying?
Don't say that shit to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan seems to think if you get high, you do jiu-jitsu better. Well, last time I checked, it's mixed martial arts.
Well, it for maybe training, putting yourself in a zone and stuff like this. A lot of people get high or stuff. I remember wrestling in high school. A lot of guys would get high because they just could, wrestle all day long. They went in a zone.
I did was sleep and eat. All I did was eat and sleep.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm with you.
I didn't do shit off weed. That's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
But Rampage is in there, and he's always good for a good quote. He said about Bonner, he's UFC's golden boy. I'm surprised they let that get out.
Is that what? Yeah.
That's a direct quote. On to the NBA.
Now, moving on.
I like that first line.
They're playing basketball.
Mm-hmm. Well, some teams are playing basketball.
Yeah, some teams are playing basketball.
Some teams are kind of just showing up and going through the motions and trying to figure out all the. It's
interesting.
It's like that kid who grew 10 inches over the summer and is kind of gangly and not sure where its legs and arms and hands and shit are supposed to be. That to me is what the Lakers look like. And Kevin and I talked about this openly. Mm-hmm. What did the Heat look like when the Heat first got their big three together and they weren't blowing everyone out of the water? Oh, the Heat this, the Heat that. They went to the finals that year. Yeah. Dickheads. Yeah. So just relax and get off the Lakers' back. Or as Kobe said, shut up.
Shut up. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you know me. I was getting blasted. They're 0-3, 0-3. And I'm going, they're doing this new Princeton offense. None of them played together for any consecutive games during preseason. It's like, you're looking at, and the thing is that Steve Nash described it. Steve Nash can do the pick and roll and run that, and they could run the pick and roll, and all of a sudden, they could probably beat teams right away. But they want to take all those superstars and utilize all their strengths and not make Nash get tired, not make anybody be tired. And you saw last night when they destroyed the Detroit Pistons, who obviously are not a strong team right now, but you saw what Dwight Howard can get when Steve Blake, who's not even their starting point guard, is throwing up alley-oops from half court and he's just slamming them down. Who? I said Steve Blake. Wow. Steve Blake. But I think that's a matter of time. It's nothing to get excited about until 25 games. That's what I told you from the jump. I said 25 games, you're not going to see anything with the Lakers. The teams that are strong are the teams that I would really be worried about that has problems, I think, are the Thunder. The Thunder just got fucking iced up by Atlanta. I don't know what. They're 1-2. No one's talking about the Thunder, and they lost James Harden. Meanwhile, James Harden's
he scored 1,000 points in 3 games.
He might honestly this season, and remember you heard it from me, he might be the fucking scoring leader. He could possibly fucking have that.
How funny would that be? Because Durant's won it. He's won the scoring title 3 years in a row.
He might get beat by his boy Harden because there's nobody else to score on the Rockets.
What are you talking about? It ain't Linsanity for you?
No, man, Linsanity. So, but early in the season, you can't see what's going on. I mean, New York, the Nets and the Knicks have looked pretty good so far.
It's going to be an interesting season, is what Kevin's getting at, and we're only 3 games in. And my hat's off.
There's only 5 undefeated teams.
So what? It's basketball.
Yeah.
No one's going to run the table.
Yeah, that's what I mean. People are like, oh, I'm like going. Everybody's pretty much got an L.
Jesus Shuttlesworth. That's all I have to say.
Jesus Shuttlesworth. Oh shit, Ray Allen. Yeah, he was looking nasty. The Heat are going to be good too. Anyway, real quick, before we get out of the basketball thing,
go blaze our video.
Blaze our video. It'll be down here in the information. No, it won't be in the information. You won't see that then. I don't know why I said that, because we haven't put it up yet. Now that I think about it, it won't be up.
But we're in November. It should go right up.
Yeah, but this will go up before that one will.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. But anyway.
We'll just cut that part off.
Yeah, if you're watching this at a later point in time, put it. But everybody, like in the comment board, who do you think is going to be in the NBA Finals? Who do you think? No, this is what I want to hear. This is what I want to hear. Because you know how we talked about how we were talking about football, like everything has changed so much. I want to see who you think is going to be in the Western Conference Finals. Who do you think is going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals? Because I think right now everybody will say the Lakers and the Heat.
Sacramento versus the Bobcats.
Right. So we want to see who do you think is going to be in the Western Conference Finals at the beginning, starting the season, Eastern Conference Finals.
Here's the thing. I don't give a shit who comes out of the West as long as the Heat are there in the East.
Yeah. And I don't give a fuck who comes out. No, I'd like to beat the fucking Heat. Anyway, we're out.